Welcome back to Mindfulness for Real Estate Professionals. We're at session 4. Last week in session 3, we went through body scans. Body scans are this unbelievably powerful opportunity for us to be present in our bodies. There's a thing about being in our bodies that's worth repeating, which is our bodies are always in the present. Our minds wander to the future or the past. We're ruminating about something from the past, some mistakes, even some joy that we had in the past. Our minds are sometimes there. Sometimes they're in the future. They're thinking about something that might happen, a good thing we're looking forward to, or some fear of something that might happen, a worry. Our minds go from the past to the future. They're rarely in the present. Our body is always in the present. So if you can get yourself in your body, aware of what's happening in your body, do you know where you are? You're in the present. That's what's happening right now. And if you can be in your body in the present with no judgment, on purpose, all those tensions and decisions and anxiety that are held in different parts of the body dissipate. It's a little bit like magic, but nonetheless, having practiced it, I trust that you now have some sense, some experience of that happening. That's because you are in the present moment. And in the present moment, you're not in the future worrying, and you're not in the past upset about something that happened. So it provides an enormous opportunity to be sitting in the present. Those 2 weeks have given you now an opportunity to get yourself in a position of what we're going to call mindful listening and communication. The meditation is going to be a loving kindness meditation. I'll explain the connection between the two in a minute. But let's just talk about mindful listening. Sometimes it's called active listening, and it is a critical feature in our jobs. What we do to be able to listen to our clients and to the other agents without our adding our own concerns, just listening for what's happening. It's a profound opportunity. And if you can practice doing that in your real life interactions, you will see an enormous benefit to your business and to your own personal well-being. Because look, the foundation of our business is communication. Every coach in the world talks about how we're in a relationship business because we are in a relationship business. And relationships are built on communication. Our ability to speak and listen are critical. And while there's a ton of training out there on how to speak, there's all sorts of training you can get on what to say and how to say it, and it's fabulous. And you should. Script practice, all that stuff matters. I'm not saying any of that doesn't matter. What I'm saying is there is another element of communication that nobody trains you in, and that's how to listen. That's what this is. The ability to listen to someone with no judgment and actively listen for what they're committed to makes an enormous difference. Mostly people are listening for the other person to stop talking so that we can now talk. And nobody's listening, because if you're listening for them to stop talking, what you're really doing is thinking about what you have to say next. And you're not listening at all. You're listening to yourself, figure out what to say next. That's not listening. And no one's listening to you. That's why you don't notice it, because it's just what passes for normal. This is going to be different than that. Okay, you're going to wind up with a clearer understanding of your client's needs and an ability to respond thoughtfully rather than to just react impulsively. How many of you have ever regretted your quick answer to someone? Oh, I wish I hadn't said that. I wish I had thought that through. I wish I had said something different. Yeah, because you are in a reaction mode all the time. These practices put you in a response mode. Okay, you're going to get to think about what you're saying because you will have really heard what they said. It's going to build trust with your clients. The foundation of the relationship is trust, and trust is built on the degree to which people feel heard by you. It's the foundation of successful transactions. Mindful listening builds that kind of trust because it demonstrates to the client that you really care. Right? You've heard that said before, right? They don't care about you. They want to know that you care about them. This is how you get them to get that you care about them, is you genuinely, authentically express interest and empathy in what they're dealing with. And that will encourage open and honest communication. We have sayings in our industry, buyers are liars. Well, that's only because we're not listening. We're not listening for what they really need. We're not asking the right questions because we're not listening to them anyway. It's going to improve your negotiation skills. You're going to be able to hear what the other agent is dealing with. You're going to be able to hear what the other agent really needs, what the client really needs, what's really going on in that. You're going to practice pausing before responding. Just take a moment to pause. You don't need to answer immediately. There's never, ever a case where your immediate response makes the difference. Much better that you just take a breath and go, listen for, okay, what did they say? And you can do that by reflecting back to them what you heard to make sure you're understanding. Just simply saying to them, hey, here's what I heard and what you said. Just saying that, and then giving them back what you heard will give you enough space to be able to respond thoughtfully and build trust because they'll know you heard them. And if what you give them isn't what they said, well, then it's going to give you the opportunity to respond appropriately because you were about to respond to what you heard and that's not what they said. So your job is here's the steps, okay? You want to focus entirely on the speaker without distraction. So you've spent 2 weeks separating your thought from you. Now you have a little bit of capacity to actually focus your attention. That was the point of those 2 practices, was the ability to focus your attention where you want it to go. In this, you want it to go over there with them, with what they're saying. And you're going to listen with non-judgmental awareness. You've been practicing non-judgmental awareness of your body, of them, of what they say, of how they say it. You've been practicing that with yourself. Now you're just going to listen to what they say without forming judgments and without planning what you're going to say next. Stop focusing on what you're going to say next. Stop focusing on your thoughts and keep your attention out there. You're going to then be able to understand the speaker's feelings and perspective. You're going to be able to feel how they feel. What's missing in our current, what passes for dialogue in this country, or any kind of, political dialogue, certainly, is understanding what the speaker is feeling, how the speaker sees the world. That's the number one thing that people want, that you want when you speak, is that person in my world? This is a way to get in their world. You listen without judgment to what they're saying. And then you can summarize or paraphrase what the speaker said to confirm your understanding. You want to practice using open and receptive body language to show engagement, lean in, keep your arms uncrossed, things like that. But mostly that will come naturally if where your attention is over there with them. You'll naturally lean in. You'll naturally be more interested. And you're paying attention to what they said and how they said it. So you're left clear that you have their experience. That's the game here. Okay. And I encourage you to practice that this week with all your conversations with your kids, with your spouse, with your partners, with your agents, with the other agents, with the clients that you have. Practice that. Now, the meditation that we're going to do, because there's no real great meditation to give you access to that you need to do in real life. If we were in a room together, I would have you work with a partner and practice that, but we're not. We're doing this on YouTube, so you got to do it in real life, but that's okay. You're just going to keep practicing it. And again, all the non-judgmental spaces that we've been talking about apply. There's no wrong way to do it. You're not here to judge yourself on it. You're not here to assess, or you're here to practice. You're learning something. The meditation we're going to do is a loving kindness meditation. Why? Because in my experience, and this may sound really woo-woo to you, but if you just think it through, you'll notice the truth in what I'm saying, is that if you're listening from love, if you're listening kindly to them, if you're connected to loving kindness for yourself, you'll be able to listen with loving kindness to them. And there is no downside to listening to people with loving kindness. There's just not. When you have the experience of loving and being kind to the person speaking, you will hear things you wouldn't hear otherwise, and they will feel that. That is the foundation of trust. So the meditation may not seem connected, but I promise the more you practice the loving kindness meditation, the more you'll be open to hearing what they say in a way that builds trust between you and them. And that's the whole game. So the instructions for the loving kindness meditation are in the actual meditation. You're now familiar enough with the setup for the meditations that I don't need to go through it in this video. You just have to follow the guidance in the video. But you're going to be practicing loving kindness to develop the capacity to listen from there. And when you're listening from that space openly with your attention over there, you tell me what happens, okay? And you do that by reflecting in your journal what's happening for you as you practice listening, in mindful listening from loving kindness, okay? That's the name of the game there, all right? And then next week, just so you know what's on top, we're going to do some practices that go beyond the kind of meditation that we've been doing, the kind of sit with your eyes closed meditation. We're going to bring in practices that you can do in your life that don't entail sitting quietly in a room, that you can be mindful while your body is active. So you're going to get trained in that next week. So this week, all there is to do is take the 7 occasions to practice loving kindness, and then any occasion you can, at least once a day, but hopefully more than that, you'll be listening to people around you mindfully. All right. And then make sure you jot it down in your journal. Be back next week, and we'll see you then.